Hey, well, here we go. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to meet Tina here. How's everyone's doing? Hope everyone is doing well and beautiful wherever you are at in this world. And one thing, though, I would like to thank everyone for following my channel and share my videos. I'm really grateful for that. Today, I would like to introduce this lovely, lovely astrologer, this young lady. Not only she looks so young to me. I mean, too young to, I mean, she's so wise and her wisdom is beyond her years. I assume she must be about 20 or mid 20, that's it. But boy, her knowledge is blow my mind. Okay, I met her earlier this year at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles. She was introduced by Alan Steinfeld. Some of you may know him. I think he's a host at the Portal of Ascension on YouTube and also New Realities. Quite well known because he organized a lot of events. Okay, he highly talk about her, introduce her. She was the first one he introduced at the Conscious Life Expo. And when she talks after the event, I said, Raquel, I would like to book a private appointment with you, which
That's how you met.
I told you I rarely do that. I rarely book astrology appointment with anyone in my life. I know some, astrology, not as well as she is. But the moment she went over my private session at the end, I'm like, whoa. And I immediately booked the next appointment for my boyfriend.
True.
And he was, wow. This lady, who is she? She's so good. So let's welcome Raquel Spring. How are you doing,
Raquel? My God, Tina. Oh,
honestly,
sister, hugging you, loving you. Wow. Yes, we met. It was so synchronistic how we met. I know when Tina met me, there was so many people at the event, and I was so focused on, being present with the program, and all of a sudden Tina has just like this light about her, like, oh my God, I found you. And so when I stopped to talk to her and get to know her, I was really impressed also with the work that she's doing. And she shared a little bit about her platform and her channels, and just really impressed with her path and all of that. So we connected and we had a session together, and now here we are. About to go deep into some deeper astrological and
down into the rabbit hole, guys.
Down the rabbit hole, and share this moment with you. So
exactly. I mean, you guys really into astrology. You gotta listen to Raquel at this moment until the end of this video, because it's absolutely blowing your mind. She's gonna blow your mind with what she's gonna share. So Raquel, share with us, what makes your astrology different from others? I feel your astrology is very different. And how did you come up with all this knowledge? Because your reading is different.
It is. And I'm starting to notice now, before it was just, I thought it was like compliments, and I thought it was like, wow, I had a really good session, But after so many years of the number one feedback I received from people after my sessions is that changed my life. And that feeling because you went through it. And this is literally the number one feedback I get is the deep impact that session had on people. And it was just the beginning for a big turning point of their life where everything shifted. So after years of not only hearing that, but facilitating these experiences, today I see it as a really powerful gift that I acknowledge that I was given this gift to help people through this powerful transition phase of reality. So I use astrology to help collective themes. So I do have community gatherings. I do have times where we look at the overall energy for the world. But I also have the individual deep dives that I do with people, really helping them understand their path from that sobering perspective of the soul. Now, you ask how I developed that. This is a really interesting question because I never chose to be an astrologer. I never knew.
Because it's not easy. Astrology is very complex, Raquel.
It's very complex.
Very complex. And for you to get so deep into some of the planets that I never heard of, you know, like Juno, Vesta, and all that stuff. You went into detail, North
Black Moon
Node and
Lilith.
South Node. Not many people, not many astrology talk about that.
No, no.
Boy, how did you gain this gift?
When I first, after I went through my process with astrology and I looked out there and I realized that I was becoming an astrologer because I never chose this. And I said, okay, well, what are other astrologers doing out there? Like, what does it mean to be an astrologer? And I opened that door. I'm going to tell you, I was so sad, deeply sad, because I was like, this is astrology. This is what we have going on. Like, these are the best in the field. And the reason why I felt so sad is because while many different astrologers are able to point out what they are seeing, so they can see that maybe a Jupiter is in Cancer, or maybe a Mars is in Capricorn, and they can understand all the technical aspects of it. But what I couldn't find anybody able to do is to tie it all in together into the feminine wisdom that astrology really holds. Astrology is a feminine science.
Oh,
and
boy.
It's not just about
you gave me goosebumps.
This, you have that, you are. This is about understanding the essence of why. I don't care about the what. The what, anybody can go there and go 1 + 1 = 2. No, I want to know why. And this is where my style developed, because it came from a very raw part of my journey. And it came through my own birthing of my own spiritual awakening, which at the time that astrology came to me, my spiritual awakening was at an apex.
Wow.
When astrology came into my life, it didn't come through looking at YouTube videos and finding out if I'm this sun, this is what's happening in my week. No, that's not how astrology came to me. Astrology was introduced to me in a very profound way on a cellular level. And when I opened that door, I went through a 1.5 years. This is the story I usually tell, that, I went through a 1.5 years of every single night. Every single night. I remember being like, is there gonna be one night where I'm not gonna dream with this? But every single night I would close my eyes, and all of a sudden I would wake up in this world where everything was astrology. And every night it was different. Sometimes the planets were communicating with me. Other times I was teaching. Other times teachers were teaching me. Other times I was watching the entire layout. And it's not like I was choosing this experience. I was watching it unfold. I had no idea what it meant. I'd wake up in the morning like, I have no idea. I just know that is astrology everywhere. And so, I went through a really deep journey with astrology, where astrology started to open up and reveal itself to me and help me connect the dots and make sense about everything in my life. And as you know, briefly, my experience is that up until age 27, I was born and raised in a cult. And it was a very extreme environment, very different than anything most people on the planet have ever even heard of. And I had a very unusual upbringing, very extreme, very traumatic in many ways, very intense. So when I came into astrology, and for the first time in my life, it all made sense. Wow. And it all started coming together. And I started to come to these deeper soul awakenings of my purpose on a cellular level, having to take responsibility for a lot of patterns that I carried. And why? It made me want to know more about myself. Why? Why do I keep putting myself in these patterns? Why do I, for example, I have a sun in Neptune opposition, and realizing in my life what that sun and Neptune opposition represented, because more than a linear cookbook interpretation, this is my life. This is a lot of where the trauma was, for example. This is a lot of where the growth was. So understanding that opposition from an energetic perspective, this is a consciousness that comes directly from me, and wanting to know the essence of why, what's the purpose, and connecting all the dots from that perspective. And I went through my own life shift around that. After that, I went through a 1.5 years of a very strong, like a crossroads, where I was so angry with what I felt to be a complete violation of free will. And I was like, where does free will come in? what is predestined and what is there any use in me doing anything at all? I went through the rebellious phase of like, oh, really? That's my mission? Try me. Try me. Come here. See if I'm going to move. Okay. I went through, I kid you not. This is why astrology to me is so unique. It's the essence of who I've become through this path of understanding that. And not to mention the path of understanding the people that had hurt me the most, some of them in my life, when I opened their chart and I understood their psyche, their past lives, their entire evolutionary process. And I could see them from that perspective, and the heart openings that I had with the very same people that at some point in my life said they were going to kill me, for example.
Wow.
You know, and having compassion and crying and having heart openings. So my entire process with astrology unfolded in a very organic way. It was very powerful, very deep. It woke me up on a cellular level. And then the icing on the cake was when I found out that I come from a long lineage of astrologers. My father, he forgot, or just we weren't allowed to talk about these things growing up in the cult, so he just never told me. But after I left the cult, and so I left at the age of 27, astrology came into my life at age 35. So that was,
wow, now I know your age.
No.
You look so young.
34, 33,
Yeah.
34. But it was in my 30s, and he said to me, I'm going to be 42 in a month and a half, by the way.
Youth, my God, you look like you're in mid-20s, Raquel. I mean, I was like,
gosh,
she looks so young.
Yeah,
you do.
We look young in my family. I
What is it on your astrology chart? Does it show on your chart?
Well, I am a
that
Gemini sun. Yeah, well, Gemini, yes, I am a Gemini sun, and Geminis, they have the youth. That's one of their credentials. It comes with the Gemini energy. But it's so funny. So when my father remembered to tell me in my 30s that his father's side, he revealed to me that it was generations where they were passing it down, and they come from a lineage of astrologers. And I was just like, wait a minute. Okay, now this is a lot more than just a fun thing that entered my life. And then I started looking at it as a soul responsibility. This is running in my lineage. There's something happening here with all of this. And even my south node, my past life, comes from the energy of Aquarius in connection with the planet Uranus. And those two are the astrology significators, Uranus and Aquarius. So really highlighting this astrology as a tool. So I started to gain confidence because right off the bat, as soon as I started to open up and invite people to experience astrology with me, right off the bat, the results were instantaneous. It was like, wow, this was different. People were saying this is the best session I've ever gotten in my life. And I said, this is not even a session. I just told you.
I can vouch for that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so in the beginning, I was very nervous, and I was like, well, what if I don't get it right? I mean, it's one thing to go through this journey alone. It's another thing to open the door for other people. And I'm like, what if I don't get it right? But after so many times of hearing the same thing, I'm like, Raquel, it's not about you getting it right. Don't you get it? It's not about you. Like this is where I started to see astrology as its own intelligence.
Wow.
I am humbly coming before it and opening this door. And what I see when I open the astrological doors is just a sliver of what is available for us.
Wow.
You know, so I know that a big role of my connection with astrology now is that I'm paving the way and leading this for our upcoming astrologers and for us all who work with astrology. Even the individual, I teach my students to become their own astrologer, so they don't need to go paying someone to read their chart. Anybody who wants to open this door needs to do it through this feminine way, which is what? It's wisdom. It's not just the knowledge. The knowledge will only take you so far. The knowledge, many astrologers know what type of aspect this is, what type of, where you need the wisdom is to listen to the soul reason. What is the soul intention? What is the intention of the chart for having that moon in Aries or that Mars in Scorpio? How do the dots connect? both for yourself and for the world as well. When I'm looking at the events for the world, I'm like, well, what's really happening here? Above and beyond government or like these little distractions that come in temporarily, what are we really looking at? You know, so to really connect the individual with the greater coordinates, so we don't get lost in the, oh my God, the moment of the situation. So I have that ability to take that overwhelming emotion out of the way and just go straight into the reason, the core essence of why, so that we can find our grounding place and we can find clarity and solutions that actually make sense to the soul, because you chose this on a deep level. So your soul remembers, your soul knows, you know, so I use astrology in this way to help. Yeah. It's intense. A lot of
profound,
people, yes,
and it's
when
profound.
People say that it changed their life, it's just the beginning, because they tell me, they're like, Raquel, like, ouch, I was not expecting that. They were like, it's going to take me 6 months to process that. But they're like, that was so good.
I agree with that 100% from what all your clients mentioned, because, you know, I myself became her client for the very first time. I have to say, oh my gosh. And the whole time when she was talking to me, I can feel goosebumps. I can feel all my programming. I can see through all this. And she even confirmed a lot of things that I knew. And what's going on with me is not just ordinary common astrology reading that you get, you know, that I have experienced. This is absolutely mind-blowing, life-changing. And you're right about that. It's involved that feminine energy that's very connected to your soul, you know, very deep. So you mentioned about teaching, you brought it to the world, you got this divine blessing that actually guided you. This is no accident. You're supposed to be sharing this with the world, the teacher, for you to go through that dream. Oh no, it doesn't happen to anyone.
Me. Yeah.
Yes. Listen to you. I wish they would come into my dream and do the same thing. Now, would everybody be able to learn like you do? Because, you know, you have a special planets, right? Like you talk about Neptune and your sun, opposed your sun and your Gemini. What about those people who don't have that strong chart in astrology? Would they still be able to learn and be able to become as good as you are?
You know, I think the as good as me is a matter of perspective. I feel like there's different styles.
I like that.
Yes, I absolutely feel that I have a very unique way of, you know, my path just needs to be extreme. I'm a very extreme person. And, you know, you hear me when I talk about these planets, I light up. Whether it's obsession or
passionate,
it lights up inside of me. So I feel like my path with astrology needs to be this way so that I can lead. You know, that's my role. My role is to be a leader. And so I need to experience astrology in this way. But not everybody needs to be a leader in this way. So what I do is I have a school for sure, because I came to a point where I was giving sessions, and then there were more sessions to give, and then there was more sessions to give, and then I was booked months in advance. And then I was feeling overwhelmed because I'm like, oh my God, I'm having to keep up with I don't know if I could do this. And I put my prices up and the sessions kept coming. And I said, you know what? Listen up. I'm not going to be doing this forever. I am not going to be the only astrologer on the planet reading charts this way. And I will teach you how to do this, because I'm going to be moving on to other things. I am not just an astrologer. I have the path of freedom. That is also another part of my path that I'm here to teach. I have the Black Moon Lilith, which is the #1 theme that everybody is interested in. I have other things that I'm focusing on. And so I said, let's get together. Doesn't matter if you've never heard of astrology before, let's get together and I'm going to teach you everything I know. This is not about you're paying for 1 hour, let's, you know, have the whole, no. This is about let's get together and let me share as much as I know with you, because when I keep going, you're going to take this further. You're going to take this in your style, in whatever is your path, in your calling. I have students that use this in conjunction with how do you say, health, and a medical path and homeopathy, and just many different things like that. I have other people. The last one, I have someone who told me they're learning astrology with me to help coach business entrepreneurs, to really
so
help
much
them
you
learn.
can do.
Yes. I was like,
That's why I'm going to enroll your class. I just saw the link, I went
there
through,
are
I go,
so many things you could do with astrology.
it's not just astrology, really. You life coach, you can do it. You can be anything and can use astrology of your clients in order to, help them out.
Exactly. And then I have people who are parents and they want to know because they want to get to know their children better.
Oh my God, that's actually very important. I mean, I was just going to ask you that question.
The best sessions that I've had so far have been with parents helping them really get to know their child, who their child really is and what they're doing. That has been the most, where we're both in tears, like me and the father and the mother, we're just like having this huge heart opening about this beautiful being and really looking at them as a soul and not as a little child. Very intense.
You know what, Raquel, I think what you just said, to know more about their children is so profound, because I would say 90% of parents do not know their children at all.
Tina, this is my number one overall. When I look at what do I want to do in life? I have many visions and I know I'm going to do many things, but the number one that I feel my heart connected with is somehow I am here to facilitate astrology for children. I encourage my students all the time. I'm like, look, whoever's the first one to have the idea, come to me. Because this is something, whether we're going to create astrology books for children, or whether we're going to help parents understand their children through astrology, or whether we're going to start including astrology as a curriculum in the educational systems. I don't know yet, but there's something about children and astrology that I feel that I'm also here to help.
Oh my God, I'm just so aligned with you with this topic, because with what I do, which I have shared with you, some of the audience don't know that I teach. I'm a metaphysical teacher and I'm a hypnotherapist as well. Yeah. But I know I rarely talk about, because I do my YouTube just for fun, and I teach a lot of Thai students. And actually, one of the topics that I mentioned is about perhaps doing the guided visualization and the book for children to connect their higher self, to connect to their angels or Kartik, where I think, like you've said, is so important, and how the parents can understand their children better. And that's going to change the world.
It would change the world, because when I understood my chart, part of my breakdown was like, why didn't I know this? Like, this is what I chose and I didn't know it until now. And I was like, every child who is born on this planet should have the right to access their birth chart and the information in there, and not have to wait until they're 40, 50, 60 years old to understand. So I feel like it's a right that we should have. It doesn't mean it needs to be mandatory, but I feel like we should have that as an option. And I do feel that introducing this into storybooks, making it more of a growing up, a lifestyle experience for children, understanding about these planets, that all they are aspects of our own psyche. And understanding this connection. This is the feminine understanding of astrology. This is how I developed my understanding of astrology and how I teach my students. It doesn't matter if they're going to use it for architecture, if they're going to use it for, teaching their own children, it doesn't matter. But the planets and the entire solar system, the entire cosmos, they're all microcosms of the macrocosm. And it's all aspects of our own psyche and our own spirit that is evolving. It's going through all these shifts. So the planets, actually, they show aspects of us, of our evolution, of our psyche, of our soul. And they have their own individual frequency. Gaia has her own frequency in the solar system, her own purpose, her own evolutionary process. And she is a being that is very alive and well. And so understanding the planets in this way, it helps you understand what a Sun and Neptune opposition, for example, would really represent in your child's life or in your own. And it wouldn't just give you a basic, it's like a very superficial things, but it really makes you ask deep questions. take responsibility for certain experiences in your life. Allow this to be a catalyst for you to grow more, evolve.
Yeah.
Use the higher potential of these energies together.
Well, I think it's so important because, you know, if you know about your children's possible issue, the programming that they came with, and you be able to work with it while they're still young, you wouldn't have to deal with that issue when they're teenage or when they're grown up, which that's what happened to a lot of parents. You don't even know how many people that I came across, well, that their teenage children are having issue, especially with the COVID, right? The COVID, tons of it, psychological problem, you know. So I just feel like your work can very much, you know, help parents and children. Anyway, you mentioned earlier about feminine energy that you use in your astrology. You talk about Black Lilith before. Can you go further into this? Because I think this is something I never discussed. I mean, I think there's only a few astrologers discuss about that, but I never come across anyone who actually read this energy into astrology. So can you elaborate on that?
Yes, I can share a little bit here. And let's remember that this is a very extensive subject. I'm actually getting ready to open a whole path in this where there's going to be more information accessible and available. There is an actual lifestyle around this. You know, there is the questions that come along with, well, what does that mean? And how do you do that, you know? So it is a very extensive subject that we can go very deep in. But basically, the Black Moon Lilith is a shadow aspect that we all carry. And it's where we tend to carry fears, where we tend to carry repressions, where we tend to carry shame and guilt. But it's also an energy that wants to be set free.
Wow.
And she is very feminine, very feminine. There's many reasons why. She is a point in the sky that is created by the moon and the Earth's orbit. So these are the two feminine celestial bodies, and we have this as their commonality, and they create the Black Moon Lilith. And the Black Moon Lilith, she's very feminine in many ways. She's very connected with sexual urges, sexual desires, expressions that can come from that as well, not as good or bad, but just as power. So because the majority of the Black Moon Lilith energy in the planet is repressed, it can be very vicious. And the Black Moon Lilith energy is generally one that can at times even be dangerous, depending on, you know, where it is. So the Black Moon Lilith, you know, like astrology, chose me. I never chose to like, oh, let's investigate what this is. No, not really. To me, it was like this abstract point, because when you open the door in astrology, like you said, most astrologers don't talk about the Black Moon Lilith. There's not a lot of information out there.
Nobody knows about it. That's why I'm asking you this question.
Right. And then today,
when you brought it up, I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, I know. I've had so many people, including Rick Levine at the conference, say, Raquel, you.
Oh my God. And yes, Rick Levine was there.
Yes. Rick
you sat next to him, I believe, right?
Yes, at the panel. You know, and I was gifted last year, I was gifted a beautiful crown of black tourmalines by a beautiful sister. And she said, Raquel, you don't understand. You don't see yourself. You are the queen of the Black Moon. She's like, she had a whole vision, a whole journey where she was taken to the middle of the earth. She wasn't even expecting that. And she had a whole experience where I was there. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But she came to me, she said, Raquel, you don't understand. Take this. You need to step into this. You are the queen of the Black. So it's been many years where like she's coming to me and people are telling me, I'm like, okay, maybe I should start talking about her. Like, maybe people are expecting me to.
I have always want to know what it is, you know, because I study astrology, you know, here and there, you know, intermediate, I would say, not as advanced as you are. And when you mentioned about this, I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, Raquel's got to talk about this, because I'm sure a lot of astrologers can actually, you know, update their skills by taking classes with Raquel, because I mean, they can actually dig deeper. Yes.
You know what? I'm going to say, whether you are a beginner, complete beginner, or an advanced student, times with me, they're deep. you get it on a soul level. I communicate through transmissions more than linear communication in words. So all astrologers, beginners and advanced, they will learn with we get together twice a month to go deep into astrological topics. But the Black Moon Lilith was, she came to my life where in a way where at the time I was really going deep with all of my charts and looking at my lunar returns, which are the monthly charts. And every lunar return for almost a whole year straight, every single month, the Black Moon Lilith was in a very strong place in my chart. And what that means is that when a planet is strong, your experiences revolve around it. You feel it, you live it, you experience. And so the Black Moon Lilith, she's really interesting because she's loud. She's not discreet. And if she is in a noticeable place of your chart, oh, trust me, you see her, you feel her. So that's where she chose me. And Black Moon Lilith is like, she's not gentle. She'll say, you, and she'll grab you by the hair. She'll be like, look at this.
Damn.
Basically, yes, that is how I was introduced to her. And I was like, wait, I'm not prepared for this. And so I went to try to find books and try to find what is this archetype? Why is it so strong in my life right now? And
I don't think you can find on any book, right?
I bought the little bit I found, and it was so vague. And it was
because I did look it up before.
How is it supposed to help me to that doesn't fly with me. Well, thank you for opening the door, but there's more. There's more, because I need solutions for now. I need to understand what this archetype is. So if I don't understand, I'm going to get overwhelmed and consumed by it. And so I began my journey consciously, really fully consciously, of understanding the Black Moon Lilith in 2019. That's where I really went down the rabbit hole with her. And going through the entire process, you see these energies, the way that I learn and the way that I'm so deep and extreme, I have to go through the experiences. Just reading it in a book is not good enough. So thank goodness that there wasn't a lot of information out there, because it made me really live the experience with the archetype.
Wow.
Face to face. And the Black Moon Lilith would be so vicious. And I was doing a session yesterday and sharing this with the woman, because her North Node, which is her destiny, is conjunct the Black Moon Lilith. So helping her get comfortable with this energy, because when the Black Moon Lilith comes, she will come with such powerful urges, and they're all connected with the emotions.
Yep.
And the distortion happens when we allow these urges to overwhelm us. And we become consumed by the desire, consumed by the rage, consumed by the experience.
Wow. Powerful.
So I went through the whole process, the whole wave, what does it feel like to be consumed? What does it feel like to surrender to the rage? What does it feel like? I had to embrace the Black Moon Lilith in all aspects of his journey. And at one stage, I was like, holy moly, she's not going anywhere. Well, guess what? I'm not running away from you. If you're not leaving my life, there's only one thing left to do. And that is to meet your presence. And if you're here and you're not going to leave, guess what? Neither am I. I'm not going to leave. Right. I literally would have these conversations with her. I'd be like, you called me here. You're getting my attention. You're the one choosing to come into my field. Now what? I'm here. I'm listening. What?
Right on.
I'm not leaving. And this is literally the process I have to go through to hold that emotion, because when you're going through the experience, it can overpower you, whether it's rage, whether it's pain, whether it's, desires unmet, rejection, repression, whatever it is. It's like, it's that snake that wants to consume you. And so at a certain point of my journey, this is a whole part of the process in the story. I call this the making peace with the Black Moon Lilith. And so I went through the process where I learned how to make peace with this energy. And it really took me down the rabbit hole. As this is a really extensive journey that I've shared with in other interviews, but it is a energy that is directly connected with Gaia. And
wow.
Gaia, yes. So this is all of the collective and repressed sexual energy that we have had, especially as a feminine species. Not being able to have that what voice, not what as in separation or, challenging. It's not challenging. What? It's what as in, I am not leaving. I am. And so are you. If we need to go down the rabbit hole with this emotion, let's do it. Let's do it together. And let's go as deep as we can. And when you have the attitude and you learn how to embrace your fears, embrace your emotions, embrace, there is a process. It does take time. It does take a few steps, but you go through a threshold where these energies, they no longer consume you. They no longer overwhelm you. And this is a next level breakthrough to even what healing means. Because I came to a stage of my life that the Black Moon Lilith taught me that even healing can be a trap. Healing can become a form of addiction for some people. It's
You're
their
right.
power. Whether it's coming through as rage or whether it's coming through as, all you want to do is tweak the reception that you're receiving that energy through pain. And there is a process to do that, because what I do today is I just recognize that as pure, raw power. Don't assign it a label. I don't go through the path of emotional judgment. Yes, there are times I need to feel the experience. That is the very first step. But then you don't get caught up. You don't get emotional and you don't go down the rabbit hole getting overwhelmed with the story. So you don't let the snake consume you. You see it as the energy that you are generating at that moment. It's going to speak to you in its own way. And at the end of the process, you bring that energy back to you. Because most people, when they get in the fear and the aggression and the shadow aspect of the Black Moon Lilith, they disperse their power. It's their power, and they disperse it. They give it away. It goes away. So my experience has been so profound with the Black Moon Lilith that I'm at a process now where I'm like, no, you want me to stay till the end? Well, guess what? So are you. You're coming in for the ride with me as well. You're coming right back to me. You are my power. And this is also where I've been learning a lot about my feminine energies connected with this, my sexual energies, my sexual power as connected with this fuel and the driving force for where this energy is going to be directed. So
wow, that's powerful.
And this
this
is what I plan on
energy,
teaching.
wow. So this energy also is the energy where you create everything in your life. Is that correct? I mean, from what I'm
going to tell you, the more that my journey with the Black Moon Lilith unfolds, the more I understand it as that. The more I understand the essence of the Black Moon Lilith as a source for creation. Because the Black Moon Lilith energies per se are not necessarily known for being creative. But what are they? They are the engine that create the fuel for creation. They create the power. This is the chamber that you have. That is, you can think of it as a furnace. You need to keep that furnace alive. You just have to know what type of fuel and how to harness that energy, but you want that furnace alive, because how are you going to create without the passion, without the power? How are you going to learn how to deal with the days where the emotions come and they may feel overwhelming, and you need to process something. And what do you do with that instead of going to, having to process it for days or cry about it or go into I have more to heal? How about just, hey, you could be good use for my furnace. We could have a little fuel here. I could use a little extra fuel for I got a big event coming up next week. I could use a little chi. So, right. And so this is where you start to look at life and you're not in fear. And this is what I see a lot in the spiritual communities, where a lot of leaders, they're trying to uphold this love and light, which is very beautiful. And ultimately it is a very balanced state of being, but you're still walking in a reality where there's a lot of polarity and there's a lot of contrast. And there's some of them that it's, for me personally, my spiritual path, it's not my reality to avoid it. Okay. And yes, there is a very distinct line in boundary between repeating cycles that are unnecessary and you're stuck in a loop, and other ones that are actually helping you. And so I'm at a phase right now in my life where I'm seeing Black Moon Lilith as an ally for my journey. And it doesn't matter how she comes through. I always look at her like, all right, let's have some tea. I guess we are having a meeting right now. And every time that I invite her in like that, I feel like I grow leaps and bounds. I feel more in my body. I feel more connected with my sexuality, with my expression in my voice, and even my rage in a healthy way. You know, not rage as in separation, but the rage as in the equality for being given a voice. Because growing up in a cult, I never had a voice. So the Black Moon Lilith has been teaching me that it's okay to feel power. It's all about how you direct it, you know? So this energy is directly connected with Gaia, and it's directly connected with Gaia's womb. And so in that sense, yes, this is why it's a massive healing. We're going through a collective purging of the Black Moon Lilith energies. So we are allowing Gaia to have this womb purging of all of her misused sexual energy.
It's like a rebirth, right?
Yes, because Gaia's function in the solar system is to be a portal of creation. This is her function. She is the only planet in our solar system that can hold so much variety of life.
Wow.
But the Lilith's sexual energy has been misused on the planet. It has been harnessed by other intelligent forces that are living in separation. And so a lot of it has to do right now, my work has been with Gaia and helping her have this release so she can have her rightful frequency in the solar system. Because right now it's being dampened. She hasn't been given that full voice of who she is. So now this process is happening. And then as a consequence, the women on the planet are also able to reactivate their wombs and then reconnect their wombs to the other chakras, and then the heart and the voice and the third eye. Because when we can learn how to connect our intelligence from here to the intelligence of the womb, oh my gosh. So that's where, yes, the Black Moon Lilith is very connected with creation energy.
Wow.
But it's learning that this is your power. Don't be afraid of it. Understand how to connect with it and use it.
Now, would this also work the same with the chart on males? You know, males.
Yes, absolutely.
Because, you know, some audience listen to it, they probably would thinking, oh, this is for female, but that's the question.
You know, so let's just honor that for a moment. The Black Moon Lilith is a feminine expression. And we're not looking at gender here. She has a feminine expression that all charts carry. Now, because of my experience with these planets, they are usually deeper and more extreme. I went through a really deep, an even deeper journey of the feminine energies connected with the Black Moon Lilith. And it took me to this experience with Gaia, which is where I'm working now. I'm working through my own body with Gaia. So that's just me because of the path that I work with. And that's why I'm sharing that. But this is an energy that all charts carry. So understanding that the general meaning of the Black Moon Lilith is an energy where we can tend to repress desires, power that we carry. And
and everyone does.
Yes, this is where the tendency for most people is where we carry some sort of shadow, where we live in a denial of that energy. But there is something deep inside. If we look at your Black Moon Lilith by house and by sign, we can see where it is that you actually want to be set free. This is where everybody's like, let's just imagine this is your secret fantasy, you know, even somewhat erotic in some way, because the Black Moon Lilith is sexual. So there could be actual erotic fantasies around it, you know, but it's more than that. It's an energy. It's an energy of like, oh, I need to just liberate myself in this way. And that is that feminine desire for full expression and liberation of the feminine. And so we can carry that in different ways. It depends on your sign. It depends on your house. And knowing that this is an energy that for the most people, they got denied when they were children,
Mm,
House and the sign of where your Black Moon Lilith is usually carries trauma,
mm.
repression, leads to repression of that energy there, but it actually is the field of life where you have one of the biggest sources of power coming from. This is where you
Wow.
can open that door to that fuel, that sexual energy, that feminine power. And when you turn that power on, it's fearless. Oh, world, watch out. This is where the person doesn't care. When they're in their power in there, they don't care what people think. They don't care what people say. And that's why there's this liberation that wants to occur where your Black Moon Lilith is. She's
Wow.
ready. She's totally ready to just like, express itself. Yeah.
So in the way, you're really helping people to look at their own power, discovering their own empowerment.
Yes, it's a different form of looking at the shadow.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And
Now,
not even necessarily as what you have to heal, but what you have to
Mm.
embrace about yourself.
Ah, there you go. You're right about that, because a lot of people in this spiritual community, they all talk about healing. And I think after the 20 years, they're still in the healing, the process of healing. When is it ever going to end? And then they never change. I haven't seen many people change at all, so this can come in very, very powerful for them. Now, are they good charts? Are they like horrible chart, or are they like, wow, amazing chart? You know how like some chart of the leaders, president, whatever, or king and queen, and then you have charts of people who just struggle all the time. Why is it that? Do we choose our own destiny? I mean, can you enlighten us on this? Do we pick our destiny? All this stuff.
I have been so blessed in this path of astrology. Every time I open a chart is its own unique fingerprint. It's amazing for me. I tell you, I kid you not, so many times I tried to stop doing sessions because, I'm like always booked out in advance, and I'm like,
I believe your book. My God.
It's so much, but every time I try to stop doing readings, I'm like, I can't. It's what I most love to do. I love. Why? Because every time I open a chart is its own unique journey, and the soul has its own intention. It was so like mind and spirit blowing for me in the best of ways it was very liberating actually, when I realized that there is no destination or goal. We're not in this good or bad. You have to follow this path. You need to live this way. You need to be a vegan. You need to be a vegetarian. You need to. No, I've worked on so many charts, like you can't even imagine the types of scenarios. I've already had clients come to me for forensic cases.
Wow.
Hired, yes, to study deeply the charts of murders, of child trafficking, like people that are famous in the world, and at the end of the day got even put into prison and got, made world news. And,
wow, this would be.
I've dealt with people that have committed suicide and their partners came to me. These are people that I just had a session with, and then I had to figure out why the soul chose to do, so the types of people I get people all the time that are going through a changing of genders. The cases that I get are very unique. And I've been blessed to see it all the way from Hollywood producers to politicians to children to people that have no idea what they're here for. Like people that I had someone the other day for the first time that was blind. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so incredible. And to look at each chart with not good or bad, not, but really understanding what is the soul really doing here. Yeah. You start to be really like your eyes open up, because you see, when I saw for example, the child trafficking, was 2 of them, and I had both of their charts, and the person who was running away for her life and, bringing them through the process and putting them in prison. And I studied all 3 of their charts together. A story became alive to me. And I told this woman, I said, I'm not the person for the job. I've helped people find their soul purpose. I'm not here to help you put people in prison. Don't get me involved in it. She's like, no, Raquel, you don't understand. You need to do this. Nobody else, I don't trust anybody else to do it. And I said, if you do it, if you hear it from me, you're not going to like what you're going to hear. because I'm not going to probably tell you what you want to hear. I'm looking at the
Right.
soul. So every single chart has an intention of the soul. And when you start to piece the story together and you get like, whoa, this humbling, get out of the way, let the story happen. I'm just helping you get clarity with what the story is. So every single chart is very unique, and there is no overall, this is how it happens, or this is how this is how it should be. This is a bad chart. This is a good chart. This is a problematic chart. Now, what I do see are people that have what maybe a lot of people today would interpret as karma. So these would be past life, unfinished business. These would be a lot of maybe even people that have led lives where they were cheating, killing, or working things out. Usually, my most impressive thing to see, most of them, it's all happening between families. Wow. So this is why you are chosen. You chose the parents you came into for a reason. The family, everybody in your family is very carefully chosen by you. And most of these people you have some connection with, some unfinished business, some past life, so it's interesting to see every chart has an intention. And so some people, what I do see is that they have a lot of unfinished business, that it becomes more important for them to focus on understanding even deeper these patterns and transforming them into this lifetime. Otherwise, those patterns will be perpetual points of conflict for them.
Wow.
That's why astrology is the biggest catalyst for our evolution, because that's where my sessions are not all easy to hear, because it's like, okay, this is what you have. This is the pattern. I'm helping you understand where it came from. This is why it's happening. Now, this is what you can do to start to shift that. And there is a process involved for people where they do have to focus and be consistent with the work. So it does take a level of dedication and being ready for it as well. Wow, but everybody has a little bit of everything, everybody has a little bit of the challenge and a little bit of the growth and the ease. It just depends on where you're at and receiving all of that in your life.
Wow. So you notice that most people tend to have the most growth when they're older on their chart, or it's not necessarily that pattern?
Good question.
As people get older, you talk about karma as they get older in their 50, 60, when they reach the second Saturn, would that normally be easy for them, or it's not necessary? You see a pattern?
Generally speaking, yes. The older you get, the more mature you get into your energies. Instead of resisting it so much, or blaming other people, or blaming your family, or blaming your boss, or blaming your work, you start to look within yourself. So a lot of people, the older you get, the more mature you get about your energies. But I will tell you that there has been a specific phenomena here happening since COVID, and where we've been having a lot of youth waking up, and a lot of, there's just.
Okay, speak of that. Can you see a waking up chart? Like this individual will wake up at certain time of their life, things like that.
I can see the potential. I cannot, because astrology is not a prediction. So there are certain alignments that will support. Let's say if it is, first of all, it needs to be part of the intention of the soul. It needs to serve a higher purpose. So it needs to be there. Number two, the person needs to have done a certain level of the work to invite that experience in. So the other factor is, I don't know, is the person going to make the choices for that? If you are consciously choosing to go back into things that are not good for your growth, you're limiting your ability to receive that experience. So that's the second option, is you have to be aware. That's why the more aware people are, the more they can create with these energies when they come. They can be prepared, they can learn, they can grow. But if you're living on automatic, just clicking the remote control and watching the news and being on the computer and letting life slip by, you're probably going to also let those opportunities slip by. And a lot of these energies, they will come somehow or another, but they won't necessarily be, let's say, an awakening. So for example, the awakening, instead of being an awakening, would probably be a psychic experience, let's say, or it would have a little bit of a different connotation. that the person wouldn't even fully grasp the full benefit of it because they're not present for it.
Wow,
But
wow.
windows do come. Yes, they do come. So yeah, I can definitely see, I work a lot with the spiritual evolutionary energies. And that is something I help a lot, the students, the clients, everybody to understand when these windows are for the bigger energies to come. And even awakening, it's not something you just go through once. You have different moments for that to
Right.
come. Yeah.
That's
There
true.
are moments you can see in astrology for that too.
Oh, cool. Now we just kind of touched on the personal aspect of astrology. What about global aspect? According to the planets and what you have, I'm sure you probably read, a lot of people ask you about ascension time or what's going to happen in the whole world. And with all this chaos and COVID and all this awakening period, what's going on with the energy? Can you kind of elaborate on that? Because not only she talks about personal astrology at the panel next to Rick Levine and a lot of famous astrologer at the show, I think they were talking about the global energy as well. Can you kind of elaborate on that, Raquel?
Yes, I know. I was so blessed to be there with David Palmer.
I was like, oh my God, yes, David Potter, Rick Levine, who else? They were all great.
My goodness. And there's so many new ones that I met as well. There was 6 of us all in total, and it was such a special moment for me to be able to share my views on the world events and the astrology.
And that's funny because I follow David, the Leo King, by over 10 years ago. I thought he was kind of like very dramatic at times, and he's very passionate, very passionate.
Got a Mars and Scorpio.
One of these days I'm gonna have to interview him. Yeah, but it was so funny. I just like, oh, this guy's gonna come here. I remember seeing him. I used to follow him just a little bit, but after that, I haven't followed anyone for a while. Yeah. So let's hear that. I mean, I don't really get any what's going on. Because with the way that's going on right now, the energy seem to be intense in certain area, certain country, or certain continents of the world. What do you get on that? I'm sure people ask you about that too.
So I'm going to try to summarize this again. This is also another extensive subject that I provide monthly support, free support, individual paid support, whatever type of support that you are ready for, I have available, because I realized that when COVID came out and I realized why astrology had chosen me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just the beginning.
Why?
Yes, because when I saw what was happening from the bigger perspective, and I said, oh my gosh, now I get it. I'm not here to teach astrology or to do so. I'm here to help the planet go through this transition. Because whether we like it or not, we're all in this together, and it's going to be a long transition. We're shifting eras, we're shifting civilizations, and it just happens that I can see a little bit ahead because of the gift that I have with astrology. So I do feel that like my lineage has been working through me as well, and I've been given this gift and responsibility so I can lead people. What is leading? To me, it's just to give a little bit more perspective so you don't get lost in what the news are saying or the drama of the moment, and you keep sight. We have to stay focused, and we go through this together with ease and grace, and getting wiser and more mature, because that is the whole point of it all. So I provide regular updates where we navigate every single month. Well, what are the energies now? What I'm going to talk about here is just a general, but there are many phases. For example, the Black Moon Lilith energies we talked about. In July and August, she's going to be very active for the world. This means that all the things we talked about, any repressed rage, any desires unmet, it's going to surface really big. So being aware of these energies as they come make all the difference in how you go through them. You're not scared of them. You're not overwhelmed by them. You're not trying to combat them. So my gift is I get to lead in this way. I help to guide people, give them perspective, and ease people into this transition. We're not going to fight our way out of here. So the greater perspective of all these energies is that we're going through a really powerful transition of cycles. What does that mean, transition cycles? Well, when you get our life and you zoom out to a year ago, to 10 years ago, to 100 years ago, to 1,000 years ago, to 10,000 years ago, to 20,000, and you keep zooming out, you're going to see a pattern, a synchronicity that has to do with the evolution of life on the planet. Whether it's trees, whether it's men, whether it's animals, we are going through an evolution. And even though right now there is so much that is a mess, that is because we, in the bigger picture, we are at a stage of our evolution where we've hit bottom, rock, how do you say hard?
Rock bottom.
Rock bottom, yes.
Rock bottom.
And you can consider this as a stage of devolution, which in the bigger scope of things is part of the evolution. So you can think of it as the knowing what you are by first knowing what you're not. It's not good enough to tell for mom and dad to say, no, don't do it. It's not good for you. You got to do it for yourself, get the bumps and the bruises, and then be like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. So in the bigger scope of things, and this is also something I have extensive work all the way from workshops to free material to like interviews where I dive deeply into the bigger cycles for humanity. That has been registered, and you know, it's just incredible to see how it works. So we are at a stage right now where we are going through a transition. We're getting ready to leave an old way of living and thinking. It's outdated. It's not serving the planet anymore. It's not serving us anymore. And we're ready for new. And that means new educational systems, new way of using energy as a resource, as a free resource. Understanding our bodies, understanding life on the planet, understanding our relationship with work, with money, our concept of money, it's all changing. Why? Because the new era that we're entering, it's all going to be new. It's almost like there is no receptors to understand the connection with paper money anymore, for example. The receptors are not there anymore to understand the connection with having to go to school physically every day, put your kids in a, you know, like that right now is starting to become very rapidly an outdated, very primitive way of thinking. Yes, where a lot of parents are like, I'll never put my kids back in school again. And this is the whole purpose, is more and more the disclosure is happening as a part of the process. So we can be so horrified with the mess that we allowed ourselves to get in by fooling ourselves through selfishness that this is the better path. Having more comfort means having a better life. No, at the cost of what? So right now we're having a reality check. We're having to take responsibility for our choices, for where our children are at, for where our planet is at. And so 2023 is like this big, rude awakening that began in 2020. And 2023 is the culminating point of this rude awakening. And in light of this, there are many variables. Yes, there are obviously, of course, the government, or let's say the governments, they know obviously of these cycles, and they know of this era, and they know that people's brains are not even computing anymore, being told what to do. This is where people, it's part of the process of entering the new phase, is where we start to wake up. We're like, wait a minute, I'm not going to tell you, let you tell me what to do. And so the government knows this. So they're trying to adapt. They're trying to adapt, for example, having physical currency to having digital currency to having this over here. And they're trying to adapt to the new reality that we're inevitably entering. But we need to be very careful at this turning point that we're not going to be creating new solutions based on old modalities. That is based on hierarchy and separation and, you know, agendas of suppression of sexual energy and misuse and manipulation, because that's what is happening on the internet right now. In our schools, there is this high level infiltration of a misuse of sexual energy.
So when that's going to end?
This is the year. That's why this is such an important moment for all of us, taking responsibility for how we feed these energies in our life. What are you? Maybe you can't stop the war in Ukraine, but how can you stop the war that is happening in your body? With the chemicals you are ingesting, with the pollutants, with the thoughts you are thinking, with all the pornography, or I can't even say that, right? That you are choosing to give your energy to and feed the very same system who is feeding off of you.
Mhm.
So this is the rude wake-up call that we're all having, of like really having to take responsibility for what we can do today. And this is the part where we break free from the old, if we're ready, if we want, where we don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to repeat that pattern in relationships anymore. You don't need
Right.
to go down that rabbit hole with your children anymore. You don't need to sell your soul to pay your bills anymore. So it is a really unique year where we're sort of in this unknown. Then what? Then how do I pay my bills? Then how do I teach my kids? What? And that's the place that we're in right now. So in order to receive the clarity that we need, it's very important to be very aware of our internal process throughout all of this, because it's easy to look at the outside. It's easy to see our mother losing her shit.
Mhm.
Pardon the French, but you see what I mean? People are losing it. The Black Moon Lilith is very active. Everybody's having to deal with a lot of stuff that's coming up for them. And you can either get distracted with that person's journey or whatever they're going through, or you can focus on you. And
Exactly.
that includes taking responsibility for the emotions that come up. You feeling frustrated? Take responsibility for it. Instead of
Mhm.
staying on the why it happened, this is why, because the why is a matter of perspective, stay with what's coming up for you. We're going through the biggest portal of ability to release what no longer serves us, so we can make the choices toward the next phase of our reality with clarity from a place that makes sense, because we're entering a whole different reality. So we're going to be working with these energies more and more throughout the rest of this decade. But 2023 is the year, it's the pivotal year where we're being called. It's a very urgent call to action from the soul. You tap into this energy right now. And even remember, as we finish this interview and the viewers go about their day and go about their life, to really, really be aware of the situations as more than just another event. Every single event and situation in your life this year is a catalyst. It's literally determining where you're going to go,
Going. Yeah.
your trajectory next. Yes.
Wow. Wow. I
So being
mean,
very
actually,
aware, taking responsibility, feeling, knowing when to put boundaries, knowing when to look at all of it, knowing what questions to ask yourself, and then knowing that this is only happening. Why? Because it's ending. We don't need to repeat it ever again. Astrologically, we are ending spiritual soul contracts. Do you know what that means?
wow,
We're
that's
releasing the
beautiful.
need- Yes, we're releasing the need to have to come back to this person
Karma
as
and
my
all that
parent to
stuff.
finish.
Oh my God.
Yes.
We're dropping
That's
all the
awesome.
garbages. And among this chaotic events that we're seeing, the way you're saying it, really we're moving into a very beautiful time about ourselves. Really.
That is what the ascension is about.
Yes.
The ascension, in my opinion, because I work so closely with astrology, what I see when I look at astrology is I'm seeing a brand new spark of consciousness that's coming into the picture within all of us. This is where even like spiritual leaders and spiritual teachers, they're kind of coming to an end. The concept of spiritual leaders and teachers is going to be different, because now it's only the people that are truly embodying this as a lifestyle and as a path.
There's no guru. I mean, I always tell my student that I'm not your gurus. Don't worship me. That's what I said. It's different now. I'm just someone who walked this path maybe a little bit before. I kind of point out, here's a door over there. And you walk on your own, because you have to take, like you said, responsibility, walk your own journey.
Yes.
But don't come and worship me. I'm just another human.
This is why I feel so empowered when I can teach astrology, because I feel like I'm helping you understand why this is happening to you. I don't want to be the one telling you why this is happening to you. This is your responsibility. So let me teach you what to look for or how to work with these energies. But yes, it's what's happening right now is that because of this massive awakening we're having, everybody's awareness is waking up. So just someone who speaks or talks pretty, it's not going to fly anymore, because people are starting to wake up. And the same thing with the government.
Mm-hmm.
People are starting to ask questions. Wait a minute. For the first time, people are like, why do I have a microwave in my house? Why am I using something that is totally harmful for my body if I know that, just because I have the government selling it in a shop and telling me it's okay to buy it? So
Yeah.
now you have people that are starting to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And this is happening all over. So this is where the new leaders are coming into the picture. This is where we're having a massive awakening, and it's primarily happening within our consciousness. And the purpose of this is so that we can make new decisions, so that we can start to create more independence and a lifestyle that supports our individual expression, instead of just being one more in the church, one more in the school, one more in the company. Those days are, yeah.
Hallelujah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Raquel.
But that's what I'm helping, my dear. That's my number one focus of my work. Helping people step into
this whole talk,
individual expression. Yeah.
This whole talk is nothing but like divine light just pouring down into my whole being here. I'm not kidding you. You're blessed. You're blessing to the whole world when it comes to astrology and the gift that you have to share with the world. And talk about that, when your class starting?
Oh my gosh, my class started in 2019.
Okay.
And it's been ongoing ever since.
So it's like ongoing. Anyone can attend anytime they want, right?
Yes. Currently, I have a mentorship program, and I call it the Astrology Mentorship Program.
Okay.
That is one option. There's two options of how you can learn astrology with me. One is you join the program, and then you're going to have access twice a month. We get together live in Zoom.
Okay.
Go deep into all these energies. This is one way, or another way is, instead of having the membership, which is 2 times we get together, you can just do the one-time pass and access one of the classes that we have a month, and then just come in for that one. And then it's $33, $33 for that one. Usually it's about 3 hours that we have a workshop.
That's so reasonable.
Yeah.
Extremely. Yes.
And
I'm
then
signing up.
We usually choose a topic. Like the last one we had was last Saturday. It's always on Saturdays. And we dove deep into the eclipses of 2023.
What time on Saturday?
So it happens at 8:30 our time. That's Pacific time in the morning.
Okay.
But the replay is always posted up immediately after. And I have many students from all over the world that can't join live, so they always come back on the replay. And then we find deeper perspective. We understand why these energies are happening for the world. And then we talk about what could it mean for you? Where's it happening in your chart?
Ooh, I love that. Okay, I'm gonna join. I just saw the email from you last week, and I saw like the link, and I haven't got a chance to even look it up, but I said myself, I gotta sign up for that.
Yes.
So today,
I have all the pre-recorded material also teaching how it works, because ones we currently have, we just go into what's happening this month. What's happening this month? Next one is Mercury retrograde. Oh my goodness.
Love that.
What does this mean? But then if you feel you want to know more about, let's say, how to work with aspects, how do I know what the energy of a Neptune is or a sun is? We have the whole series on archetypes. I have a process where I teach how to connect the dots. So that is like a self-study that you can also, you have the option to go through on your own timing.
I think learning archetype is amazing though. I'm going to show the audience your link, your website, Raquel. Okay. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that.
Thank you.
She's a goddess. She's absolutely a goddess. And this is her website, raquelspring.com. I'm going to put her information underneath the description of this video, guys, so you can connect with her. Absolutely, you need to do a private session, because this is life-changing experience. It's not coming from her mouth. It's not because I'm interviewing her. I've been around this, metaphysical field for so many years. And I have to tell you, the first sentence she brought up about my South Node and North Node, and I'm like, holy crap, she is good. And the whole 3 hours, I believe 3 or 4 hours long, I was like, wow. Fourth generation astrologer. I'm not kidding you. That's why I said, you know what, let me interview you, Raquel, because people need to know about you. And now she's offering the classes, which I'm going to, even though I know, some astrology, I'm always interested in learning, and definitely want to sign up with her and be her student, because she's going to be a great teacher. I know that already, and learning all this feminine energy, which I totally believe this is the energy of the now. Look at her website. You can go to her website. You can learn about her. I love this picture of her. Doesn't she look young though, guys? My God, she's like, actually, she look better in real person,
Oh,
than the
Tina,
picture. I'm
thank
serious,
you.
I saw her go, God, she's very beautiful. And she was young, but now you told us about your age. I'm like, holy crap, she looks so young. So this is all the, events.
Daily, yes,
Yes,
the daily energies, astrologically, tips, advice, quotes.
nice, nice. I love that. And book a session with her.
Yeah, find it.
Yes.
I would recommend the session as a place to start for sure. But the monthly gatherings we have, they're very beautiful. I also have free monthly gatherings for the full moon for my community. So if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll receive the information of where the next full moon gathering is. And I am my life is devoted to helping and supporting other people.
Absolutely. I believe I would highly, highly recommend a private session with her, because once you have a reading with her, you will know the difference. You will know how profound of the energy that she gives to you, explain clearly everything in detail on every single planet on your chart and your program, your archetype, and all that. I was like, wow,
it's a lot of information.
It's a lot of information to take. But and that was the reason why right after my session, I pay you the second session for my boyfriend.
Oh my God, it was amazing, Tina. I'm so happy we had that experience together.
Well, me especially, I'm like, wow, I found you. I usually use my intuition when I go for anything, and usually I rarely get reading by anyone, because I teach, I'm intuitive also. I pretty much kind of picked up what I feel is coming into my life. But when I sat next to her and I said, something telling me, ask her for a reading. My higher self tell me. And I usually don't do that.
And it was on the spot. You were like, no, get out your calendar. I already paid you. Let's do it now. I was like,
I pay her ahead of time. I'm like, you know what? I don't just pay right now at the event, at the Conscious Life Expo. I go, let me pay you and we'll book the event.
I gave you my card. I'm like, yeah, go on my website. We'll schedule. And you're like, no, you don't understand. Pull out your calendar. Let's reserve a date now.
Yes, because I waited 2 months. I waited 2 months for her. And then I said, let's book. I don't care when, I'm not in a hurry. But for some reason, it's not like I needed a reading. My life is great right now, I have to say, in every aspect. Yes. I mean, I'm pretty balanced. So usually most people will go see a seer, astrologer, a psychic when they're in trouble. So I generally just don't have a need of that. But for some reason, I sat and listened to her at the Conscious Life. So I go, this lady is gifted. There's something about her. And for some reason, we sort of connect. She said hello to me the next day, and I go, I got to make an appointment. That's reminding me. The universe reminded me to make an appointment with her. That's why she grabbed me out of everybody in the class. There's a lot of people in the group listening to her. And we were in the big crowd. And that morning, she grabbed my hand. Hey, Gina. I'm like, oh God, I got to make an appointment with her. It's like universe telling me, make an appointment with her, because I forgot to ask her a day before, because everybody has to go in and out. And I'm just blessed to connect with you, Raquel. Very blessed. And definitely, you're going to see me in class. I'm going to sign up for that. So reasonable. And I'm just, wow. Your information today is very profound. And, you guys definitely look her up. She also has YouTube channel. Subscribe. She also have her Instagram. You can connect with her in so many different ways. Do private session with her. You're not going to be disappointed. Really not going to disappoint. This is something that's going to be profound for you. Okay. Take it from someone who's been around for 30, 40 years. And definitely, really come from her heart, from pure intention. I can see all that. And even my boyfriend was like, wow, she's good. He came to me, go, where did you find this lady?
I think I scare people sometimes. There's just so much energy. It's like they're not expecting that.
I think it's good, because this is where the energy is right now. It's supposed to be, and I totally connect with that, the energy of the feminine energy that you brought it up. It's so right, and what you do really help people to become aware of their pattern, their archetype, their shadow, their program, which a lot of people are not even aware until someone bring it up. And that's why you said that you got to be able to hear it, hear the truth, hear the fact. And especially parents, I highly recommend for your children.
Yeah.
Because so many children are lost right now. Okay. So just having some coach expert advice, even on your side, you are coaching all the time. So Raquel, blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank
You
you.
guys, please share this video. Definitely, I know if you're not interested right now, there's gonna be a lot of people who's gonna connect with Raquel and can, be of help.
Benefit. Yeah.
So many people need help right now. Even if you don't know astrology, you're not into it, check it out. Her fee is so reasonable. And you will know what's going on with your life, with what, with her coaching and astrology. And it's always good to be prepared, not to be like unprepared of what's going to come up. And it's right, a lot of stuff going on, things instill a lot of fear in you and a lot of people, and I saw that. But when you have someone like her, to guide you, you will bring yourself in the center, align with your own energy. And that's so important, that everybody needs someone who's a coach, who's a teacher, not a guru, but the teacher who can guide you on the right path. And with that said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you. Subscribe, click like, and share. Raquel.
Thank you all for being here with an open heart as well, to listen and take in and receive all of this. This is the time. You are here for a reason. You are listening to this for a reason. Your soul is ready. And thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Tina.
Oh, no, thank you, Raquel. It's enlightened experience with this video. Love it. And thank you for your time. Thank you. I love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Let me just